Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today we are finally going back to some Leonardo DiCaprio reviews. It's been a long time since we've done one because we have been focused on Christmas, and now that Christmas is over, it is New Year's Day. Happy New Year's Day if you're watching this on New Year's Day. 2020 sucked. Let's hope 2021 is better. We'll see. Huh? That's like the running joke right now is we'll see. But anyway, today, it's New Year's Eve, not New Year's Day. I always get that confused. So today is actually still 2020. I'm filming this like a week ahead, but it is still 2020. I'm sorry that you're still here. I'm sorry that it is 2020 for you. I'm very sorry. I apologize. It must be awful having to hear that it's 2021, but it's really 2020. Tomorrow's 2021, though, so get psyched for that. Make sure you're being responsible when you're drinking, though. Kids, make sure that you're not drinking unless you are with a parent or legal guardian. In the state of New York, that is legal if you're with a parent or a legal guardian. That is the only time it is legal for someone under the age of 21 to be drinking. And even then, they have to be above the age of 16. With that law in mind, let's kick off some more Leonardo DiCaprio reviews today with Titanic. Titanic was released in 1997 and was written and directed by the wonderful James Cameron, which will be a series in the future, definitely before Avatar 2 comes out. My goal is to get everything done that I want to do before Avatar 2 comes out, because I'm thinking that that's when movie theaters will be open. So that's when I'm going to be spending a lot of my time in the movie theater. I'm working a lot next week, so you'll notice a lot of these are filmed beforehand. Next week's going to really suck for me. The week that this comes out is really sucking for me. So let's hope that future me is doing okay. I hope you're okay, future me. I watched this movie today, and let me tell you, it's complicated. So yesterday, which is a long time ago for you, but the day before today, I started watching Titanic. And I worked 9 hours yesterday and 9 hours today. So I started watching it last night when I got home at like 10 o'clock. But it's a 3.5 hour long movie. So if you're going to watch this movie, make sure you have time. And I was very upset that I had to go to sleep early because I had to get up early as well. So I was like, I really don't want to stay up too late, but this movie's fantastic. I really, for the first time in my life, did not want to stop watching this movie. I'd never watched a movie all the way through. And normally if a movie's over 3 hours, I hate it. This movie was over 3 hours long, and I think it could have been longer. I don't know if there's an extended director's cut. If there is, I'd be interested in watching it. I normally complain about movies that are really long. This movie deserves to be long, in my opinion. Well done. This movie's fantastic. For those of you who don't know what it's about, essentially, it's about Titanic people people who are in the present searching for debris and diamonds in the wreckage of this big boat called the Titanic. Essentially, what happens is they meet an old woman named Rose, and she comes and tells her their story, and we see Rose's story throughout the entire film. And we meet Rose and we meet Jack, and they are they're two separate people, first class, third class, and Rose is even engaged at this point. And they fall into a deep and passionate love very quickly. Rose loves that Jack is just out there and he can kind of flow with the wind and take things as they come. Rose is never like that. Rose has always been strict schedule. Everything's important and in place. Everything's for me. I am first class. And they are in love with each other, and in the infatuation of each other, in the different classes and how it works. They both crave each other and the different lifestyles. And honestly, I was a little skeptical about the movie because I don't really enjoy romantic movies very often, and I definitely don't like love at first sight stories. Don't get me wrong, I believe in love at first sight, fine. Okay, you can do that, that's totally fine. However, in movies it's difficult because every movie about romance is typically a love at first sight movie, right? Because we have 2 hours to formulate a love relationship, which is annoying, right? Because in real life, that can take months, years even. And we see it in 2 hours about every day. Every time we watch a movie, there's almost always a love interest. And they usually, for the most part, meet each other and then gradually become a couple. And it's most of the time really frustrating because they're just kind of like, oh, and they're together. No. And in this movie, it's fantastic because we see the gradual increase of love and being together. At first, the way that they meet is Rose is going to kill herself because she doesn't like her life. So she gets on the edge of the boat and she's going to jump. And Jack's like, hey, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And so Rose gets mad at him for stopping her from killing herself because that's what, they do. And then Jack's like, all right, well, I'm going to have to jump in after you to save you then. And they really just formulate this really interesting and really dynamic relationship on the Titanic. And I had so much fun. And then, of course, as most of you hopefully all know, the Titanic sank because it hit an iceberg. And the Titanic was supposed to be an unsinkable ship, but it wasn't because it sunk. And let me tell you, I cried like a freaking baby. I was bawling just now. I watched the last hour of it here the next day, and I'm over here like, oh, and like, it's awful. It's awful to watch. It's one of those things where I'm like, I really don't want to watch because, boy, is it sad. You're seeing thousands of people die like every second, and it's just unbelievable. It just hurts you as a person. You're like, wow, I would really like to go in there and help any of them. And most of the people on the boat are assholes because they're boarding women and children first, as one probably would, particularly in the 1900s, the early 1900s. I should mention, late 1900s is not the same, but most of the time at that point, you're like, okay, women and children are the most important. We have to save them first because they are babies and are going to grow up to be babies, to make babies. Whereas men are considered less important now in the terms of making sure the population stays okay. But anyway, it is incredible to watch this movie and realize, ooh, that if that happened now, it'd be the same, right? If the boat was cracked in half and starting to collapse, and we had like 20 boats, right? I would say women and children should go first. That would be like my first thing. It'd be okay, we need to get women and children off of here. Okay, that would be my first response, and it was in this movie as well. And the amount of men that are just assholes in this movie are unbelievable. They were like, oh, nope, I'm getting on the boat. And it's like, no, you can't. We have to get women and children out here. He's like, I don't care about women and children. I'm a man. And it's like, wow, that's awful. But nobody is as mean and an awful person as Cal, and I can't wait to talk about it. I'm still going to hope to wrap this around 11 minutes, but still, wrap it up. So then eventually, they get off the boat safely because Jack is a genius. And Rose gets on this floatable piece of wood, and Jack cannot get on it with her because it will sink. Most people are like, why couldn't Rose just move over so Jack can get on there? And it's like, they tried that, if you remember, and it started to sink. So only one of them can get on there, and of course, Jack's like, Rose, you get on there. And then Jack dies of cold, and then sinks to the bottom of the ocean. And then Rose is saved and is able to share her story with the divers and the pilgrimagers. I don't know what you call them. What do you call those people? Drop it down in the comments below what you call somebody who is trying to find diamonds in a shipwreck other than grave robber, which is what I would probably call these people. Anyway, let's talk about some acting, and then I will wrap it up. Leonardo DiCaprio, which is the reason why I watched this movie, played Jack Dawson. Now, Jack Dawson is a freeloader, basically. He kind of just goes around everywhere in a bunch of different countries and is able to just kind of live wherever he needs to live, and then he moves on. And he is an artist, so he draws people, and he is fantastic as an artist. Not necessarily Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm sure he didn't... Well, I know for a fact he didn't draw the picture. James Cameron drew the picture. That's actually James Cameron's hands, not Leonardo DiCaprio's hands, that's drawing that picture. I'm sorry if I ruined that for you, but it's true. But Jack Dawson is a fantastic artist, and he is a passionate lover, and it really was fantastic to watch him play this. That being said, I don't think it was his best performance. I think that it was a lot of fun to watch him, and I think he did 100% fantastic. There was no problems with his performance. However, there were other movies where I was like, I kind of liked his character a little bit more, right? Like What's Eating Gilbert Grape was fantastic. I loved his performance, and it was hard for him to play that. Whereas this, it just felt like, it's just kind of like a Leonardo DiCaprio thing, where he can just be like, oh yeah, I'm the love interest, and play that. Which is fine, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's not like a marvel that he was able to play that character very well. He did fine. He was fantastic. Kate Winslet as Rose, and her last name, I never really caught her last name, other than I know that it was Dawson at the end of the movie, because when somebody comes and is like, hey, what's your name? And when they're on the boat, the new boat that isn't the Titanic, she says, I am Rose Dawson. So we know that she took Jack Dawson's last name. By the way, all this is fictional. Well, not the boat sinking, but the love story is fictional. They just had to find a reason to talk about the Titanic, and a good reason this is, I think. I've only ever seen one other movie with Kate Winslet, and it was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I do have a review here, so you're more than welcome to take a look at that. Link might be in the description, if I remember. It should be in the description. Kate Winslet's really good. I really liked her in this movie. She was fantastic, very attractive, and I genuinely really enjoyed her performance. I think she did great. And again, another passionate lover. It really, with these two on screen, there's almost nothing that could go wrong, right? It's fantastic. Had a great time. I'm thinking about doing a Kate Winslet series. That might be something that I do in the future. It will be a long series because she's been in a lot of stuff. But I'm hoping to be able to do that in the future. Subscribe if you want to see that. Billy Zane as Cal Hagley. This is the worst guy in the world. Not actor. He was fantastic as an actor because it made me hate him. I had to remind myself that this guy is not actually an awful person. He's probably an okay guy. But Cal was awful. He's abusive to Rose. He's Rose's fiance, and an asshole and super rich and only cares about himself. He even got himself on a boat before a woman and child by pretending he had a child. That is awful. I hated this guy with my passion. I hope he died. Very upset. We know that he died because he shot himself shortly thereafter. But still. Oh, I hate him, 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 I hate him. Well done, James Cameron, for presenting a villain that did not take time for me to hate. And I loved hating him. Every time he was on screen, I was like, oh, I hope he dies. Like, I really, That being said, Billy Zane was great, because most people, I'm like, he's alright. This guy was really good at being a dick. So, good for you. And finally, I want to mention Bill Paxton, because he's kind of a big name, as Brock Levitt, who was the guy in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, talking to Rose, and is the guy that's kind of excavating the Titanic. And I want to point out that he did a really good job drawing me into the movie in the beginning, which is always good, and always risky, kind of pulling a minor character in the beginning of a story, instead of talking about the main characters at the beginning of a story. I really did enjoy it. I think it went really well, and I think the way that they introduced the film in general was really, really solid, and very well done. I appreciate this movie more than I could ever think that I would have ever done, because I honestly did not think I was going to like this movie at all, particularly because it is long. However, it has become one of the best movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. I will watch this movie again, even though it's 3.5 hours long. I love this movie so much. I had a great time watching it. If you haven't seen it, you really should. I know that probably some people are avoiding it, particularly nowadays, where it's been a while since it came out, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, I've seen the movie, but they really haven't seen the movie. Watch it. Watch all of it straight through. It's fantastic. I'm giving this movie an A+. Thank you for watching this video. Our next Leonardo DiCaprio review will be The Man in the Iron Mask. I don't know what that's about. I'll find out when I watch it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful New Year's Eve. Make sure you guys are drinking responsibly and also having a blast, because screw 2020, right? Tomorrow, New Year's Day, because I'm good at things, will be Daredevil Season 2, so look out for that. I know a lot of you guys like Daredevil. I love Daredevil. I'm really excited to talk about it, because in my opinion it's not a perfect season, and I'm excited to talk about what I didn't like about it. Oh, excuse me. But anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. Oh, excuse me. Stay up late. I will see you guys tomorrow morning when I talk about Daredevil 2. Hopefully you guys aren't too hungover tomorrow. As always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.